The Mystara project is proud to present part 34 of the Places of Mystara series. In this video, we take a look at the realm of the winged elves, known as the Kingdom of Aeryl. The Kingdom of Aeryl was introduced in the December 1993 issue of Dragon magazine number 200, on page 57. The Kingdom of Aeryl is located on the northern tropic, in the central Immortals Arm region, in the southwest of the continent of Brune. The kingdom comprises part of the Neandan mountain range in the west, the central Ethrune plateau, and part of the Great Immortals Shield mountain range in the east. Due to the difficulty in navigating the mountains, and hostile monsters, Aeryl is bordered by territory unclaimed by sentient species. To the north, flying creatures like Pegasi can be found. To the west, griffins attack any who pass their territory. To the south lie the demi-ogre kingdoms of Gombar and Suma-Ar. To the southeast is the Induk kingdom of Eshu. Hostile humanoids populate the lands to the far east and southeast, referred to as the Western Aucklands by the people of the Savage Coast. Finally, a Villa Verdun colony has recently been established on the coast to the direct east. Prior to 3000 BC, the land that would become Aeryl was situated within the Arctic Circle, at a latitude of about 75 degrees north of the equator. In BC 3000, the Great Rain of Fire Cataclysm rotated the planet's axis, shifting the land to its present position, far to the south on the northern tropic. In BC 2500, the tribe strayed from Ilsundal's migration, when it reached the Immortals' Arm. The tribe had lost their best members in the 3 previous centuries, as the migration crossed the continent of Devania. The tribe yearned to settle in a place of peace and prosperity, where no one could find them. With the aid of magic, they negotiated the near-impassable chain of cliffs and unscalable mountain ridges of the Great Immortals' Shield. Around a grassy plateau they established a kingdom, in the high icy desolate mountains, comprising 4 clans, the Mithra, Allrun, Eridor and Gwil. Sometime between BC 2500 and BC 840, a sole huntress, Aeryl, saw a wondrous spire amid the golden clouds at sunset. She was amazed to discover she could tread on the clouds. Then winds blew the clouds away, taking her and the magical spire away from the mountain she climbed. For days she heard voices and laughter, but saw no one. The sky was getting colder and breathing became harder, as the clouds ascended. The voices continued to mock and taunt her until she passed out from exhaustion. A fairy took pity on her and brought her round. She was given food and magical warmth. In time, the voices grew more friendly and Aeryl began to understand them. She learned she had entered the realm of fairy, the kingdom of air. Aeryl made out their shape by touch. She learned their traditions and history. In time she learned through hearing, feeling their breeze and smelling their scent how to distinguish each individual fairy, and in effect see them. She lived a long time in fairy, eventually growing wings. The fairies taught her the spell, interruptible light, and how to send messages with it. Sometime between BC 2480 and BC 820, wise fairies sensed she was homesick, and helped her to return to the mountains. Her kin welcomed her back, thinking she was dead, possibly a victim of the griffins. They marveled at her wings, leading to many questions. Aeryl taught her kin the interruptible light spell, and how to flicker it at different rates at will to communicate. The started casting this on their chests. They also started using it to blind nocturnal monsters. Each clan developed a different flicker rate for identification, as a form of heraldry. Sometime between BC 2430 and BC 770, Aeryl eventually married. To everyone's surprise, her offspring naturally developed wings. Aeryl died sometime between BC 2410 and BC 750. She was laid to rest among the sacred burial places of the high in the icy mountains, with a pair of spider-shaped elder golems as eternal guards. Sometime between BC 2300 and BC 550, scouts learnt of a species of winged minotaurs across the Strait of Yalu to the east. Intrigued, they crossed the strait to the kingdom of Namua, and observed the Induks. They found them to be peaceful, so they made contact with them. Sometime between BC 2260 and BC 550, all had wings. They rename their kingdom, Aeryl, in honor of the first of their kind to grow wings. Sometime after BC 1800, the elven immortal Ilsundal gained a following among the as the guide, patron of peace and serenity. The guide told the that he guided them to these high mountains, and requires them to live in seclusion from the rest of the world. Presumably, the were originally followers of Ordana. Sometime after BC 800, the elven immortal, Eärendil, also gained a following among the as the adventurer. He appealed to the dissatisfied with the guide's philosophy. Those seeking freedom, new magic, breaking rules out of curiosity, scouts and adventurers wanting to see the world, and general misfits, started following the adventurer. Sometime after BC 700, the elven immortal, Míladin Starwatcher, also gained a following among the as the guardian. He is the protector of the guide, patron of war, and the defender of Aeryl. Not long before BC 500, the were alarmed to discover demi-ogres colonizing the western coast of the Immortal's Arm. Around BC 500, an Induk messenger arrived in Aeryl requesting help against the Soktari man-scorpions. The flew on giant eagles with nets across the Strait of Yalu to the Nemurian coast, just south of Ekidu. There they assisted the Induks to escape, by placing them in nets carried by their giant eagles. They offered the Induks the central plateau of the Great Immortal's Shield Mountains, if they would help clear it from monsters, as they were unable to do this on their own. They were happy to have these friendly neighbors, in case of trouble with the recently arrived demi-ogres. Sometime after BC 300, dragon wasps called Freylons that originated on the Savage Coast, reached Aeryl. The launched a major campaign to eradicate them. Sometime between AC 990 and AC 999, the were alarmed to see humans sailing across the Strait of Yalu toward the Immortal's Arm. King Enarin II of Aeryl instructed scouts to use the interruptible light on their chests, and then fly above the ships and mimic stars, in order to cause navigational errors by the Villaverden ships. Many ships ran aground, or beached in Western Auckland's territory. Eventually, some ships made it to the coast and set up the colony of Porto Malgisau. Explorers for the colony attempted to find a way through the Great Immortal's shield, but were thwarted by the either directly wiping out isolated groups, or causing the horses and mules of larger groups to bolt during the night. The Kingdom of Aeryl comprises an area of approximately 57,500 square miles, slightly smaller than the Khanates of Ethengar. The Neandan Mountains, and the Great Immortal's Shield, form a ring of vertiginous peaks around the grassy Ethrune Plateau. A few tortuous narrow paths with precipices go through the mountains. The mountains are very high, at least 15,000 feet tall. Clouds have difficulty crossing them. Aeryl is situated among the highest peaks of the range. The slopes are covered in heavy forest up to about 14,500 feet. It is noted that the cannot fly above 20,000 feet. The have little needs for trails or roads, making travel on foot very difficult. Three main rivers flow from the mountains. The Hwen south of Ithuin reaches the western coast, an unnamed one south of Mithra, and the Mianil, northeast of Mithra, both flow into Lake Savin. Mount Ogvuin is a volcano on the eastern Aeryl border. The Ethrune Plateau is like an alpine meadow, covered with grasses about 8 feet high, with some berry bushes, nut plants, some fruit trees, and wheat crops. It is like a Commonwealth garden, free for all to use, as long as the ecological balance is maintained. The also tend to the wildlife, hunting only the old specimens. They gather honey from bees and dead wood. The plateau is Aeryl's greatest source of food. The population of Aeryl can be deduced from their military. Given the standing military of Aeryl numbers 2,200, and 5% of those capable of serving in the military form part of the standing army, there would be 44,000 wartime troops. Assuming the civilization level is medieval, with both genders serving, that would equate in wartime to 25% of the total population, increased by 50% for being demi-human, to 37.5%. So the total population could be estimated at 117,333. The population of Ithuin is 12,100, possibly comprising 12,000 with the remainder mainly Pegators, and perhaps an Induk ambassador and support staff. The other 4 large towns probably hold 8,000 each, as the capital has 12 battle wings compared to the other large towns having 8 each. The remaining population of about 73,000 would probably be spread across at least 75 villages. About 87% of are commoners, 10% nobles, and 2% clerics. The top echelon comprises 4 clan leaders, including the king. The are the same as elves in most respects, but have the following differences. They are slightly shorter. Male height ranges from 4'7" to 5'4", and females from 4'3" to 5 foot. Despite being lean to enable flight, they are surprisingly heavier than their common counterparts, except for the taller males. Male weight ranges from 970 to 1070 coin, and females range from 770 to 870 coin. Overweight are unheard of, as they only eat the minimum food to maintain their health, for ecological balance, and flying capability. They reach maturity between age 84 and 104, much later than age 25 for common elves, but they have significantly shorter lifespans, reaching middle age at 150, old age at 200, and venerable at 300. Individual maximum age ranges from 303 to 600. Their eyes are slightly larger than common elves, and are colored amber, violet, or deep green. Their hair color is usually white or silver, some with black, gray, auburn or blonde. They have a 12-foot wingspan. When folded, the wings reach from several inches above their heads to their ankles. They are difficult to conceal without magic. They often sit on stools or benches, as chairs with backs are problematic. Sleeping positions avoid crushing the wings, and large beds. They are used to the cold weather. Relocating to warmer areas requires months of acclimatization. They typically wear light downlined fur tunics, with wing holes, soft leather boots and thick tights. When they reach maturity, clerics of the Guardian cast interruptible light on their chests, in a somber ceremony. Earn experience points 15% slower than common elves. Require minimum ability scores of 7 for intelligence, 6 for dexterity, and 8 for both constitution and charisma. They receive starting adjustments of +2 to dexterity, and -2 to constitution. They suffer from claustrophobia when underground, so they avoid dungeon crawling adventures. At the end of each day they spend underground, they must pass a wisdom check or go temporarily insane. Failure of 4 wisdom checks whilst temporarily insane makes their condition permanent. So imprisonment is very dangerous for Temporary insanity may be removed by a cure disease or heal spell. Permanent insanity may only be removed by a carefully worded wish spell. Speak Aeryl, a dialect of Elvish. They have also developed their own tongue of Ishtin, which is a very airy language. Instead of speaking the usual humanoid tongues, they speak the Induk tongue of Namush, giant eagle, and can communicate with the realm of fairy through their interruptible light signals. Scouts may learn foreign languages through general skills, such as Verdun of the human colonists, Orcish, Trollish and Demi-Ogreish. The Pegators possibly accompanied Ilsundal on his migration, with some following the to Aeryl. Although based in Ithuan Uris, they spend a lot of time hunting in the wooded hills between the Ethrun Plateau and the mountains. They speak Centaur, Giant Eagle, Pegasus, Giant Rock, 50% speak Elven, and 50% speak Fairy. Young Pegators are treated harshly to toughen them up. Their initiation into adulthood involves trials of stamina, hunger, deprivation and distant travel. Some become chaotic renegades, despising their people. They lead very austere separate lives, filled with self-pride in their strength and prowess. They value self-reliance, and are regarded as excellent mercenaries. They can fly 72 miles per day, have a maneuverability factor of 3B, and can carry 1,000 coin for each hit dice they have, ranging from 2,000 to 10,000 coin. Most value isolation, security, being undisturbed, peace, quietness, and ecological balance. They pity those who can't fly. They view all nature as wondrous and worth protecting. They don't understand creatures that choose to go underground. They tend to be vibrant, full of humor, emotionally expressive, and lean toward the freedom of chaotic alignment. They feel superior, but don't lord it over other species. Among themselves, they refer to non-as infant species. The ER are reverent of their immortals, but would never try to convert non-ER, as a missionary would. Whilst ER follow the elf class as fighter magic users, clerics can be created via general skill options. All ER clerics must take the ceremony and codes of law and justice skills at first level. First level clerics of the guide gain the mystic's awareness skill, which halves their chance of being surprised. Clerics of the guardian are trained in the short bow, gaining a +1 bonus to attack rolls, and a bonus general skill, blind shooting. At 5th level, they are taught the 3rd level spell, interruptible light. To promote freedom, and to aid exploration and scouting, clerics of the adventurer receive the bonus general skill, escape. In addition to the usual saving throws, they also have a 10% chance to dispel magic, within 1 to 6 rounds, that was used to restrict them. Specifically, the spells Hold Person, Hold Portal, Entangle, Web, and Warp Wood. ER nobility is not hereditary. It depends on a proven history of successful leadership. Noble families may sometimes relinquish their political leadership in favor of a family that has proven itself more worthy, reverting to a role of just military command. Nobles ride giant eagles in battle. The monarch and clan leader positions are hereditary, but are again subject to successful leadership. Pressure from the clergy and nobles can cause a leader to step aside. The monarch appears to have full executive, legislative, and judicial power, under advisement from the clerics of the guide. The primary responsibility of the king is the defense of the realm, in keeping with the philosophy of the guide. The current monarch is King Aeryl II, the Gaunt. He is also the clan leader of Mystara, which he rules from Ithuen, assisted by family members. Each large town controls an area of about 3,500 square miles, with Ithuen being the royal domain, and the other 4 being clan holdings. He is a follower of the guide. He dislikes non-lean humanoids, such as the demi-ogres of Gombar and Sumerar. He can be angered by outsiders trespassing in Aeryl, making them kneel before him, if they are taller than he is. He has the ability to summon giant eagles. ER leaders typically rule from middle to venerable age, a span of 150 years. Aeryl II is the son of King Sirand I. Aeryl I preceded Sirand as king of Aeryl. Presumably, the local Pegators follow the same elven immortals as the ER. They are led by a tribal chieftain. A small council of elders and shamans exists, which has the power to replace the chieftain with either his eldest son, or the strongest young Pegator. This change of leadership is usually bloodily contested in fierce tribes, but the Aeryl Pegators are more moderate. In addition to common spells and the 3rd level interruptible light spell, Ancient ER developed the 5th level spell Minor Glass Steel. This spell gives non-magical glass or crystal the strength of steel, but half the weight. The spell is used to make glass steel weapons and armor for ER and Indukes. Each casting strengthens a maximum of 50 coin of glass or crystal, so steel items normally weighing up to 100 coin can be created with one spell. Larger items, like armor, require multiple castings. Glass steel weapons detect as magical, and are treated as magic weapons. ER smiths trade glass steel products among their kin, and the Indukes, at standard equipment values. However, to outsiders, glass steel weapons are worth 5 times the value of their normal steel versions. Pegator shamans have access to both the clerical and druidic shaman spells. In addition to the clerical mandatory general skills, the ER know weaving, especially tunics from bird feathers, profession of cobbler for making soft boots out of reindeer hide, professions of fletcher and bowyer, net making, weaponsmithing, architecture, profession of builder, gardening, and hunting. Dural craft for creating rare items and delicate glass figurines, which are in high demand throughout the region. Glasscrafting, signaling with interruptible light for communication and separately for heraldry, art, especially ice and glass sculpture, singing, aerial dancing, law and nature law, navigation, military tactics, survival in mountains and hills, veterinary healing, animal empathy, animal training of normal and giant eagles, and griests, detect deception, teaching, hunting, music of mainly wind instruments, and profession of barber. ER with mining skill, are known to oversee golem miners of the open-cut granite and dolomite quarries. Nobles learn leadership and giant eagle riding. Pegators favor fighting instinct, stamina, and mountains and hills survival. To fly effectively, avoid using weapons weighing more than 60 coin, and usually don't wear any armor. Some with exceptional constitution, especially adventurers, have been known to don specially made leather or glass steel chain mail armor. To partially compensate for being unarmored, they receive a +1 attack bonus when using normal-sized swords or their clan's hunting weapon. Clan Mystara uses the spear, whilst its members residing in Ithuen use the net. Clan Gwil uses the bowler, Clan Aeryl the blowgun, and Clan Aeryl the lasso. Short swords are sometimes used instead of normal swords, as the latter and other medium or larger slashing weapons are impeded by their wings. Whilst nobles and followers of the adventurer insist on using short bows, other find their wings impede their use, so they opt for light crossbows. 10-foot-long flight lances are also employed. Pegators have no weapon restrictions. They usually use larger than human-sized versions, and have at least basic weapon mastery of the lance, longbow, two-handed sword and mace. Pegator barding is very rare and expensive. It requires a non-Pegator master armorer to craft. Pegators using lances or maces may opt for a large shield. Volunteer for military service once every 20 years, between maturity and middle age. Half the population are militaristic, and the other half are more artistic and philosophical. The Standing Air Force consists of 2,200 troops, divided into 44 battle wings of 50 personnel. 5 nobles, with short bows and normal swords, riding giant eagles, lead 20 with their clan weapon, and 25 using normal swords. 12 battle wings are stationed at the capital, whilst the 4 other large towns host 8 each. Each battle wing is comprised of 5 to 10 hunting wards, who patrol the kingdom. Weapon mastery training, setting spears, wielding lances, giant eagle riding, and tactics can be learnt in the military. Aeryl is governed by customs. Trespassing in the kingdom is punishable by exile or death. Pilfering from the Ithuen plateau by outsiders requires compensation in goods and exile for the most lenient sentence, to death for the harshest sentence. The have no qualms about using ESP magic to gain information during legal proceedings. Aeryl uses the Elven star calendar. The Sky Tournament is held on Salamander the 14th, elsewhere known as Ambermont. Engage in aerial archery and sword duels that look more like choreographed dancing. The main event is the Sky Joust, which is invariably won by a Pegator. On Warrior the 27th, elsewhere known as Imont, the solemnly commemorate the death of Aeryl, the first winged elf. They sing, Aeryl, Queen of the Free, in her honor.
Over Neandon shadow trees, Aeryl wandered hard at ease. Clouds bowed low to her gentle hand and lifted her beyond the land. Voices of fairy whispered near, soft as wind yet crystal clear. Wings of silver born of grace marked her kin with skies and grace. Now when sunset gilds the height, elves of yore sing her flight. Aeryl, hunter, spirit free, mother of wings, queen of the free.
Aeryl does not use coins, relying on barter instead. The isolationist elves don't trade with foreigners, except in dukes and perhaps the occasional group of winged lizard men, called Crowley. There are no taxes, as the clans are more communally oriented. The only known internal rivalry in Aeryl is between the conservative isolationist followers of the guide and the progressive outward-looking followers of the adventurer. Some tension may occur when one family displays more successful leadership than a noble family. The challenger may agitate directly, or indirectly, for the incumbent family to step aside. The incumbent family may stall for time, as they desperately try to engineer some leadership success. Clan rivalries may exist, independently of clerical followings. Tension with pegators could arise if they start overeating, especially in a lean year. Understand that they must maintain the secrecy of their realm to remain peaceful and prosperous. Scouts try to remain unseen as they watch the demiogres to the south, other aerial realms to the north, the western Aucklands to the southeast, Porto Malgi Sound to the east, and adventurers of the Savage Coast to the far east. The have attacked the orcs when they get too close to finding a way through the Great Immortal Shield. Gombarians know elves live in the northern mountains, but they leave them alone, as their offers were shunned in the past, and they don't see them as a threat. Don't like intruders, especially humanoids and greedy humans. They dislike the demiogre's bulk as a sign of gluttony. They are friendly with the Indukes of Eshu, seeing them as worthy allies against their less desirable neighbors. The human Villaverdens are seen as loud, greedy, overfed wastrels who will eventually cause some trouble to the quiet kingdom of Aeryl. The have encountered the Fanatans and Wallaraz on Orcs Head Peninsula, and are favorably disposed to them. They pity the elves and half-elves of the Savage Coast, as they can't fly. They are hostile to the man-scorpions of Nimua, betrayers of the Indukes. They slightly fear the Gurash, lupins and Rakasta, as they are predators of birds. Ithuin comprises hundreds of eyries. Its glass buildings are shaped to blend in with the icicles and ledges of the snowy mountain, making them difficult to spot at a distance. Its tall slender glass towers overlook the Ithrun Plateau. Homes hang from icy ledges and cliffs, connected by a multitude of arched walkways without handrails. There are few doors. Open portals are usually located halfway up towers, with only a crystalline balcony or perch for a doorstep. The royal palace is slightly larger than the other towers. The bury their dead in the high icy caves of the mountain. The town has pegator eyries, noble towers, bird fountains and ledges, smithies, jewelers, cobblers, clothiers, a tannery, a military tower where the giant eagles roost, food storage silos, a well, a library, and an asylum for insane In society, males and females are equal. They sometimes bond in a ceremony similar to marriage, but it can be dissolved if both partners agree. Arranged marriages between clans are the norm. Children are rare, but more frequent than land-based elves. Twins are extremely rare. Eat berries, nuts, fruit, grains, honey, and meat. To outsiders, their food and beverages taste awful. Aeryl does not receive much rain, due to the high mountains on both sides. Peaks are snow-covered year-round. When severe storms do occur, the elves kneel in rocky recesses and protect themselves with their wings. They avoid flying during storms and severe winds. Winter temperatures range from 10 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, while in summer it ranges from 55 to 70 degrees. As can only progress to 10th level in magic use, before advancing in fighter attack ranks, they are unable to create golems and other constructs. To overcome this limitation, they could be allowed to progress to 20th level, like Alfheim elves, or they may have a clan relic that their clerical relic keepers can use to produce golems. Perhaps this relic could be a crystal version of a windy bellows, called the Gusts of Glass. The relic keeper of the Guardian, assisted by their clerics, use the Gusts of Glass to create Aelder golems, made of glass steel. They are created in pairs to guard tombs. Most have spider forms, but 7 other forms can also be created, including centaurs, serpents, and gargoyles. They can produce glass-steel webs, and they can communicate with clerics. Some of the more arcane create glassine horrors to be golem guards with higher intelligence, with the assistance of a relic keeper, usually a cleric of the adventurer. However, these constructs, with an average 11.5 intelligence, proved not fully obedient. They are willing to guard, but require gems as payment, which they can consume to heal themselves. They are focused on self-preservation, with the same morale as a normal human. creators usually have 1 to 6 of them as guards. Horrors without a master wander off on their own, far from Aeryl. They can be encountered in 3 forms. The first appears to be a crystalline windowpane or doorway. The second is a giant humanoid shape that reflects light in a 10-foot radius, dazzling viewers. The final manifestation is of a whirling, glistening cloud. Many creatures may be encountered in Aeryl. Giant eagles are ridden by nobles and can communicate with the Griffins prey on all who pass the Neandan Mountains on Aeryl's western border, including giant eagles and More mundane creatures include bees, deer, small pigs, mountain goats, pheasants, bears, foxes, mountain lions, and reindeer. Wild geese seasonally stop over at mountain lakes. Teddy bear-like Mithrin folk live in icy caves in the mountains surrounding Aeryl. Travelers often carry one of these creatures with them for good luck. They can speak Ishtin very slowly. They are able to hide in the glass steel webs produced by elder golems in cave tombs to avoid predators. Predators like the Timonid, which kills Mithrin folk and as their favorite food. Red hawk dragons lair in mountain caves and sometimes dominate a whole hidden valley with 12 adults and their offspring. They originated from crossbreeding red dragons with rocks. They only hunt low-intelligence animals and are on friendly terms with the and Induks, whose languages they can speak. Enjoy flying with griests in the mountains, and they are able to befriend and tame these creatures. The mountains could also contain Crowley Uris. Whilst they dislike other species, they are willing to trade for profit. Now we shall hear 4 characters' opinions of Aeryl. Fatai, a Gombarian merchant, Haya, an Induk adventurer, Zotfivia, a Pegator of Ithuin, and Alessa, an adventurer.
Elves live in the northern mountains, in the icy reaches of their peaks. So far, we Gombarians had left them alone. They'd always shunned our offers in the past. What a pity. They will always be a puny and weak species if for without wealth, one can never earn the knowledge and power that make great civilizations. Clearly, they are no threat to Gomba.
I have been to the lands of our long-time friends, the winged elves. Unlike almost every other species, we know we can trust them, Bryce Edu. They will not betray us. They live in the high mountains surrounding a plateau. Their plateau is less fertile than ours. They eat very little. I was embarrassed to eat my normal portions when I visited there. We Induks cannot fly to the same heights as the Irdu, so I had to be carried in a night by Nike. They crafted some armor for me, made from glass, but as strong as steel, yet only half the weight of metal armor. But be warned, they don't like visitors. If you are going to visit an invited, make sure you have an Induk or elf with you to do the talking.
Yes, we sleep in areas among the winged elves in Ithuin. But during the day we hunt in the hills between the plateau and the mountains. Griffins are about the only creature we need to concern ourselves with in Aeryl. If you manage to visit Aeryl without being imprisoned or exiled by the to watch the Sky Tournament held each autumn. Sure, there are winged elves air dancing as they try to stab each other, but the main event is the Sky Joust. Naturally, a Pegator always wins this spectacular contest. On the rare occasion, when one of my kin loses a joust to a winged elf, they never live it down. Oh, the shame!
Yes, we winged elves call ourselves Yar, and Aeryl is our kingdom, a grassy plateau surrounded by high mountains. We live in glass towers on the mountain slopes, where the flightless struggle to go. A lot of my kin are pretty conservative, unadventurous, and well, boring. They live in fear. But some of us want change. We venture into foreign lands, struggling with the heat for months. We observe the world around us, adventure, research new magic, and create magic items. We have found new friends across the pond, on Orc's Head Peninsula, like the forest-dwelling Phanatons, who we glided with, and the chameleon-like Wallaras, who live in harmony with nature. We make golems to do the hard labor for our communities, like open-cut mining and ore crushing, to make our glass. Still, Aeryl is not yet a place for outsiders to visit, at least while the philosophy of the guide is followed. But hopefully soon, that will change and my people will stop hiding from the rest of the world.
An Aeryl-based natives campaign would revolve around winged elf characters. To bolster these fighter magic users, Pegators can act as tanks. A Pegator shaman can fight and cast limited clerical and druidic spells. Endukes cover fighter and cleric options. The setting lacks a thief option. This limitation could be overcome by allowing winged elves to gain some thief abilities as general skills, as outlined in GAS 13, the Shadow Elves. Other PC options could include pixies, sprites, Fenair and Shao. As ER are very reluctant to go underground, adventures can be set in wilderness areas, with flying creature encounters using 3D combat rules and above-ground complexes. Although there are no thieves and magic users to protect, winged elf armor classes make them vulnerable, so a flying formation that had them in the center might be preferable. If the stakes are high enough, an ER could be persuaded to enter a small underground area, one where they are likely to be able to exit within a day. Basic adventures could involve missions to wipe out small parties of orcs and other humanoids, trying to find a way through the Great Immortal's shield. Another mission could be to gather spell components for a patron from the mountains. The PCs spot some Mithrin folk just before a Timonid ambushes them and the PCs. The PCs need to assist the Mithrins to get to the safety of a glass-steel web cave tomb, as hungry Timonids stalk them. Wandering monster wilderness tables should be modified to avoid encounters that leave basic adventurers with no chance of survival. This could be achieved by treating the skies of Aeryl as being patrolled, and therefore a bit safer than usual. Dragon encounters could be restricted to friendly red hawks. Another issue relates to encumbrance, currency, and XP. ER can carry between 650 and 1,400 coin, depending on their strength, and fly at full speed, or between 800 and 2,300 coin for half speed. As most XP is earned through taking treasure found back to a base town, this creates some challenges. Additionally, ER probably don't value coins, which tend to comprise the majority of treasure hoards. In response, ER characters could ignore coins, just taking gems, jewels and magic items. Perhaps a PC Pegator would be more inclined, and capable, of carrying coins. Alternatively, it could be determined that the region has minimal coins in treasures. Other items that weigh less and the ER find valuable could be substituted for the value of coins found with each treasure type. Flying creatures usually cannot cover great distances without landing to rest. ER must pass a constitution check every hour, or be forced to land and rest for 15 minutes per hour of flight. 5% penalties to this check are incurred for encumbrance and altitude. A penalty applies for each 500 coin, or fraction thereof, carried after the first 500 coin. A penalty applies for each 5,000 feet, or fraction thereof, above 5,000 foot altitude. However, if there is a favorable wind, ER may glide, which gives them a 20% bonus to hourly constitution checks. These flying limitations may be able to be overcome by ER if they can obtain a flying mount, like a giant eagle, or even a Pegator adventuring colleague. However, an Induk PC would need quite a large mount, and there is no precedent of Induks using mounts. In expert adventures, the party could explore beyond Aeryl, facing more dangerous wandering monsters. ER characters should be encouraged to remain tight-lipped about their homeland with outsiders. A mission could be to rescue imprisoned ER from a dungeon cell before they go insane. Perhaps a winged elf contacts the PCs to assist with a project to try to establish good relations with the griffins to the west, and not end up as their next meal. In the Sylvan Realm and other communities, griffins willingly serve as elven mounts. Perhaps the cause of the rift stems from the ER using giant eagles as mounts, who are ancestral rivals of the griffins. Through trial and error, they work out that the griffins are triggered by giant eagle scent. Offering horse meat to the griffins may help, as well as magic or appropriate general skills. If these methods fail, the patron suggests they take some griffin eggs, so they can be raised and trained in Aeryl. Whilst exploring the skies, the PCs could stumble across the flying city of Serene, a cloud or storm giant castle, or a human skyship. A rogue glassine horror may be encountered and recruited to serve in exchange for gems. Companion adventures could involve an ERPC establishing a new clan stronghold, participating in the Sky Tournament, and a battle system scenario, involving the PCs assisting the defense of the Eshu fortress of Gildesh from another major humanoid invasion from the Western Aucklands. The PC stronghold might have to deal with another outbreak of the egg-laying Freylorn dragon wasps, which dominates infected ER. To overcome the threat, the PCs must seek the solution in the realm of fairy, following Aeryl's footsteps. Multiverse exploration could involve journeying to the plane of air, or dealing with a threat from the Mount Ogvuin volcano, possibly a red dragon, that leads to a gate to the plane of fire. Master's adventures can focus on immortality. The ER immortals are all from the sphere of energy, which is the path of the paragon. The quest for the artifact may involve traveling to Devania, to retrace the steps of the ER migration, to find the grave of an ER hero. The land in a 100-mile radius would need to be transformed. There are no known magic users of 25th level or higher within 100 miles. 7 winged elves of attack rank K or higher would need to be dueled. Alternative immortals for other paths could include Ordana for a dynast, Terra for a polymath, and Ruri Hawkbane, or the nameless mother of the Fenair, for an epic hero. Visiting adventuring parties to Aeryl will be treated as trespassers, unless they have been invited there, or if they have an elf or other species character on friendly terms with the ER. ER followers of the adventurer are the most likely to be persuaded to be sympathetic to them. Characters should be at least at expert level before venturing to the high mountains. Mountaineering skill, cold weather clothing or magic would be required to survive. Navigating the treacherous trails through the mountains will be challenging, with rock slides, monsters, griffin attacks, and ER-engineered inconveniences to deal with. Unless they are extremely powerful, the PCs are likely to be captured by ER, and taken before King Enerin II for judgment. To avoid exile or worse, they must persuade the king they can be of benefit to Aeryl, and be willing to be cursed so they may never speak of Aeryl to outsiders. Eventually, the PCs will commit some faux pas and be exiled. In terms of future history, around AC 1009, Enduk agents, supported by some ER followers of the adventurer, like Alessa, make the long journey overland to the Orcs Head Peninsula. After establishing friendly relations with the Wallerer, they venture through the Forbidden Highlands, and set up a base north of Umshedu, and start spying on Nimua. When orcs of the Dark Jungle invade Nimua, they take the opportunity to conquer the unwalled village of Umshedu. They are unexpectedly aided by some rebel man-scorpions, who feel guilty at their ancestors' betrayal of the Induks. The Induk engineers then blockade all approaches to the village, except the northern hills. Man-scorpion attempts to retake the village fail. Native Aeryl PCs could be part of this mission to reconquer Nimua for the Induks. They may be charged with missions to degrade Nimua's military capabilities. This concludes Part 34 of the Places of Mystara series, featuring the isolated, winged elf kingdom of Aeryl.